All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today. Really deep.
Deep.
Yeah, into some fascinating stuff. We've got your notes, of course, and this thought-provoking piece called Nations Built on Ethics. It's all about, well, ethics, how they impact us personally, shape societies, the whole shebang.
Yeah, big stuff.
Really big. So ready to get philosophical?
I'm always ready. Let's do it. It's interesting, how we see ethics today. It feels like things have been shifting.
Shifting how?
Well, like
Yeah.
we used to view right and wrong very absolutely, right? Black and white. But now
It's more like,
we're a relative,
it's true, like that black and white morality kind of fading, it seems.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Nations Built on Ethics piece, it points out that this whole shift has led to, well, a bunch of different ethical theories popping up. One that really jumps out is this idea of utilitarianism.
Utilitarianism classic.
Right. So basically it's saying the best action, the most ethical one, is whatever brings the most happiness to the most people.
Makes sense on the surface, right?
It does, yeah. Sounds pretty good in theory.
But there's a catch. The author brings up this crucial point. What happens when maximizing happiness for the majority means like compromising on other ethical principles?
Oh, I see.
The stuff we usually consider important.
Yeah. And then there's the question of, well, who gets to decide what that greatest good even looks like?
Exactly.
Seems like power dynamics could easily get messy there.
Oh, absolutely. It's a slippery slope,
It is. And thinking about different cultures, right? Like what happens when they have totally different ideas of what's ethical?
Right.
How do we balance individual rights with this desire for collective happiness, for everyone?
Tough questions, no easy answers.
No kidding. So we've done theory, but what about the real world?
Getting practical.
Right. The piece you shared, it talks about this, the impact of ethical leadership or, well, sometimes the lack of it.
Hit the nail on the head.
And it uses some pretty powerful examples.
Yeah, it does. The author talks about the mass migration crises we see happening globally,
Right.
particularly in developing nations, really tough situations.
Yeah. I mean, it's often driven by, well, a lack of ethical leadership, isn't it?
It is. Corruption, violence, lack of opportunity, it all pushes people to seek a better life elsewhere.
Yeah, heartbreaking stuff. And it really makes you think about, decisions being made today, what kind of impact they'll have long term.
Absolutely. And, even in Western societies, we see leaders sometimes making choices that prioritize the short-term gains, even if it potentially means harm down the line.
Like that example in the piece about the legalization of certain substances.
Right, exactly.
It makes you wonder if they're really considering the full ethical implications, for future generations.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to, the core argument the author's making.
Which is?
The need for strong, absolute ethics. They paint this picture of a world where, right is right and wrong is wrong, no matter what.
No matter your culture, your personal opinions, anything.
Exactly. A world where ethics are like the foundation of society.
The bedrock.
Yeah. Allowing individuals and communities to thrive, without that constant gray area.
It's a powerful vision for
Yeah.
sure. Now, I do want to bring in our listeners here. You mentioned data privacy in your notes. So how do you see that whole issue kind of intersecting with this call for strong ethics, especially in our digital age?
It's huge, right? Because as technology keeps advancing, we gotta define those ethical boundaries in these new territories.
It's like uncharted territory.
Yeah. Gotta make sure individual rights are protected.
Exactly. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive today.
Time flies.
It does. We've covered some seriously complex ideas.
We have.
The shift from those absolute ethics to a more relative view, the impact of leadership, both good and bad, and then the author's vision for a society built on those strong moral values.
Lot to think about.
It really is. So, before we go, I want to leave everyone with a final thought. If you could design a nation built on ethics, what would be those fundamental principles you'd choose?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. Something to ponder until next time.
I like it.
All right, everyone. Until then.